Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Accelerate Performance Lab podcast. I'm your host, Ben Tillis, the founder, owner, and head performance coach at Accelerate Performance Lab. And I'm here to talk to you guys today a little bit about injuries and what it means when you are hurt and how you can stay ahead of the game, even while you think you may be missing out on some time as the runner that you believe you are. And before we jump in, though, I want to take a second and thank our sponsor, Lightspeed Lift. Just love those guys up there in Duluth, Minnesota. We get to use their device all the time for athletes, whether they're hurt, or the harness for athletes running our VO2 and lactate tests to keep them safe. And so when those guys partnered with us, it just provided a great opportunity for us to make sure that our athletes have the best opportunities to stay healthy, get healthy, and run fast. What that does, they've got a patented lift at the hip technology that allows us to take, all the way up to about 30 pounds of body weight off of these athletes, which obviously can allow them to have great opportunities to run some faster paces with less pounding and return to running a little bit easier, maybe if they've got a little bit of an injury or they just need a little more mileage without all of the pounding on their legs. So thank you to Lightspeed Lift. We appreciate all you do for this program and the amazing thing that is for the runners in our group. Diving in today, this is our episode called Drop the Hammer, where we're going to just give a short, quick segment that gives you something to take away that can be a big application to your running. And so the big thing that I wanted to share today in regards to injuries is just what it means to you as an athlete when you're hurt. And runners, because we call ourselves runners, we identify the most, obviously, with the running portion of our training. And so when the running portion of what we're doing gets taken away from an injury, maybe we've got something like a knee that's been overdone, or a little bit of a foot or a hip, or even something more serious. Sometimes we just feel like, well, I guess I'm no longer going to be able to stay fit. And all that work I did, those months of training, are just going to go down the drain. And really, that's just a mindset shift that we have to make sure that we understand that as a runner, there's so much more than simply those minutes when you're out there just putting on the shoes and getting out and pounding the pavement or the treadmill. There's so much more that goes into what you do. Oftentimes what we'll do is we'll set up our paces, we'll set up our training. We've got a certain amount of mileage a week and everything. And that becomes something that, unfortunately, we sometimes put ourselves in a position where we're almost slave to that. And so we're following that, rather than looking at training as something that's following what we guide or what our coaches guide. And so when something goes wrong that takes away from that mileage or those practices, then all of a sudden we feel like, oh my goodness, everything's out of control. I can no longer manage what I'm doing, and I just don't know what to do with myself. So what I want to give you are a couple of quick tips to make sure that you know that you're going to stay on track and even make progress while you're injured. And one of the first things that I want you to remember is that all of the other things that your coaches talk about matter, whether it's the sleep, the diet, nutrition, the weights, any cross training you're doing, that all mattered to begin with. That wasn't just something to do for fun. That was something that was really important to the training, and sometimes gets lost with athletes that are focused more on, like I said, just making sure they get the miles in. Whether you're getting busy with tests at the end of a semester, extra work hours that you're putting in, oftentimes that's the stuff that gets left out. And so you go for a run and maybe you don't stretch, you don't recover as much, you aren't staying as hydrated, you're just not getting as much sleep, and the running starts to suffer. And so because you only identify with the running as what makes you a runner, then those pieces get left behind. And even if you can do them well or better while you're out, you just think you're not getting the fitness that you need. So the reality is, yes, you need the running, you do need the fitness, but the number one thing that you need to do is start looking at those other pieces. Check out your sleep log, check out what you're doing for nutrition, and get those things to a higher level when you're during that time where you're not able to run as much as you would like. So take those things that you normally might be putting on the back burner that should be just as important as the running, and make sure you're learning some new skills and planning out your day so that you can start to learn how to do those things more efficiently and get them scheduled in when you do come back to being able to run at full speed. Another thing is the cross training. Obviously, everybody knows about that, the dreaded bike or the pool. But the reality is sometimes it's part of your just development. Maybe you should be doing some of that anyways to kind of counteract your mileage. Maybe your mileage had been a little bit too high or your workout's too intense and you should be doing something else, maybe getting on the bike or the pool another day during the week and taking some pounding off the legs even before the injury happened and moving forward. So don't think of cross training as this evil. It's not a lot of fun when you know you have to do it instead of running, but it is there and it's something that you can challenge yourself and give yourself tough workouts and put yourself in a position to keep developing your overall cardiovascular fitness and even stay muscular and strong. A third thing is getting in the weight room. Man, you've got extra time now to get in that weight room and really get strong. Again, it's something that we put on the back burner, but it's really important for us in our efficiency as runners and developing our anaerobic capacity, things like that. And that's a great chance to do that. Oftentimes, when we're lifting and we're running, we're kind of counterbalancing those, where the running may be helping more of the aerobic capacity, the lifting may be helping more of the anaerobic capacity. When you get some time off of the legs from the running, this may be a great chance for you to push that anaerobic capacity up a little bit where it's not getting counterbalanced by the aerobic side of things. So that's an added benefit, and it's something you need to be aware of. And talk with your coaches, talk with us here at the lab if that's something that you think could be valuable to you as you're looking ahead to maybe this upcoming track season. And really, that leads us into the last idea that I want to share with you about injuries. And that is there's no such thing as a perfect plan. The idea of a perfect plan puts us in a spot where if anything goes wrong, we're too fragile to stay confident and on the path to success. So the idea that when you put something on paper that it has to happen is something that you want to try to stay away from. It's great to have it on there, but it's more of a guide than it's supposed to be something that you adhere to so strictly. And so, what you want to be thinking about is the fact that there are a lot of ways to get there. Think about all the teams across the state, across the country, and their kids are all running and they have different ways of doing things. I almost could guarantee you that there's probably no coach almost in the entire country that is the exact same workup set would do the exact same thing with you every single week. It's very unlikely, but there are great athletes everywhere. And so you might need to make an adjustment. I've seen athletes have to miss 2, 3 months and come back and run state top times. You just have to stay in the focus of the fact that sometimes you just need to shift to a different area of growth for you. That doesn't mean that you're going backwards overall. You might have a slight reduction in your running capacity or things like that, but if you increase your strength capacity or anaerobic capacity, man, you could come back as an even better runner and even stay at that level just by trying out balancing a new system. Those systems are going to have to be trained anyway. So just look when you have a break and go, hey, this is my chance to just move this piece here. And we'll come back to the other thing when my legs are feeling great. Then you can have the opportunity to take the stress down, focus on what your therapists are telling you to do to get back to full speed, and make sure that you're able to still stay aggressive in your training. I know that's what runners love to do. So being able to have other things like the lifting and the focus on the cross training and just other areas of your training that can allow you to push forward will allow you to still be aggressive and know that you're headed on the right path. The running will come back. You will get healthy again, and you will be glad that you stayed the course and you believe that you are actually still developing in those other areas. So find a coach, find a program of people, get a support system that can help you keep developing, even if you have to take time off. No one should just be taking time off and sitting at home going, man, I wish I knew what to do. Check out the lab. We've got great opportunities for you to do that. And if this is not the place for you, talk to your coach, go online, find other runners, other running communities, and at least investigate those. Because to be a healthy, happy runner, you have to understand that not every day or every week in your training is going to be perfect. So just want to make sure you're aware of that. Those opportunities that we provide to make sure athletes have access to PTs at our facility that we get to work at, wonderful facility, Engineered Performance. Our athletes have the great opportunity to see them sometimes within the hour or within the day, at least, of when they first notice an injury. That's an unbelievable turnaround and gives our athletes really a special opportunity to stay healthy, feel confident, and again, keep a great support system around them as they just work their way right back. Our kids come back, they're full speed. They get to go back to their school programs and be able to instantly impact those with hardly any let up at all. So make sure you're thinking about those things when you've got injuries. We want you to know that, yeah, we hope you don't get those. We hope you can stay healthy, but it's almost inevitable as a runner that at some point you're going to deal with something that forces you to get a little time off. So make a game plan and know that there's no such thing as perfection. So thank you again for joining us today for this episode of Drop the Hammer. We've got more episodes coming up of this, as well as short shorts and some of our long form podcasts with coaches and other athletes talking about their development and what their plans are for this upcoming spring season. So make sure you're checking that out. Go into the show notes, subscribe to this podcast, and follow us on social media so you can stay up to date on everything coming up in the Performance Lab as we go through the next couple months, getting ready for a wonderful 2021 track and field season. We've got more podcasts coming up here over the next few days and next few weeks, and we hope to see you then.